Dude, the Cardinals just signed Adrian Peterson. They released Chris Johnson. Just about every player on the New York Giants got hurt, and the Texans will be without J.J. Watt and Whitney Mercilus for the remainder of the season. What's going on, fantasy football fans? I'm your host, Hussein the Brain, and you're watching The Couch. These are my Week 6 waiver wire pickups. There are 4 teams on bye for Week 6, and those teams are the Bills, Bengals, Cowboys, and Seahawks. And these are my top 1,642 waiver wire pickups for this week. In quarterback news, Derek Carr is expected to play Week 6. Sam Bradford re-injures his knee in Monday Night Football, and Deshaun Kaiser was benched for Kevin Hogan. Hogan did much better than Kaiser. My top 2 quarterbacks to pick up are Jacoby Brissett. Excellent pickup this week. Andrew Luck is not expected to play. He will be out Week 6, and Jacoby Brissett will get the start. Great matchup. He's got those rushing stats as a good bonus, and I ranked him ahead of Carson Palmer because they cut Chris Johnson. Adrian Peterson is new to the team, and we all know we can't trust Carson Palmer. So those two are pretty close, but I'm going to give the edge to Jacoby Brissett here as the top waiver wire pickup for quarterbacks. It seems highly unlikely that Sam Bradford will play, so I have Case Keenum in what could be a sneakily high-scoring game. The Vikings usually play the Packers really well, except when, is that Terrence Newman who decided to guard Jordy Nelson last year, and it didn't go so well for them. That was Xavier Rhodes' job. But other than that, it's a pretty close game, and I don't think you can really stop Aaron Rodgers, only hope to contain him. High scoring game, Case Keenum, sneaky start. Josh McCown also has a great matchup against the New England Patriots. Let's see if that defense can fix their holes, their issues that they've been having. They did fairly well against the Bucks, but they played, that was Thursday Night Football, and they played a lot of zone. Curious to see what's going to happen. Will they play man? Will they get their communication issues fixed? Will the defense stop being horrendous? Let's wait and see. But until then, Josh McCown is a sneaky start. When Hugh Jackson announces who'll be the starting quarterback for Week 6 for the Cleveland Browns, I expect it to be Kevin Hogan. I'm not sure. We don't know. But hey, I have him on here if you need to pick a quarterback. I know I've been in some dual quarterback leagues where you have guys on your roster that aren't starting quarterbacks. It gets kind of messy. So that's why I have Kevin Hogan on here. It's worth a pickup if you're like in a 12-team league that's dual quarterback, or if you do the math, each team has 3 quarterbacks. That's 36 quarterbacks, meaning 4 quarterbacks aren't even starting. I know when I was in a league like that, which the settings kind of suck, some teams had 4 quarterbacks on their team. It's safe to go ahead and drop Chris Johnson. The Cardinals did. He has no fantasy value. A team might pick him up, but I don't see it happening. Jerick McKinnon surprisingly was not picked up in a lot of leagues last week, and he was basically a must-add, especially in PPR league. In one league, I was able to pick up Jerick McKinnon off free agency, which was just insane. I couldn't believe nobody picked him up on the waivers. I was able to preserve my waiver priority and still get Jerick McKinnon without having to pay a price, which is awesome. But he's not owned in a lot of leagues. He's a must pick up, especially if you're in a half PPR league or PPR league. I think Latavius Murray looked pretty good, but Jerick McKinnon looked a lot better. And really doesn't matter what I think. The coaches seem to like McKinnon more. And guess who's on this list? Adrian Peterson. This guy's a must pick up in standard leagues. I don't know how good he's going to do, to be honest. But he's definitely a huge upgrade from any of the Cardinals running backs, even if Chris Johnson was still on the team. Now, it's pretty clear cut who's going to be the running back on every first and second down. It's going to be AP. He is a running back. He is a starting running back. And with just those 2 facts, he's worth an ad in just about every single league, no question about it. With both Bilal Powell and Matt Forte hurt, Elijah McGuire is an excellent short-term pickup, and if he can make a statement this game, he's going to be an excellent long-term pickup. Has a decent matchup going against the Patriots. Can you believe the Jets, after this game, if they get a win somehow, they will be number 1 in that division? Wow. Marlon Mack averaged over 10 yards a carry against the Niners in a win We know this guy's going to get more touches, more carries, more opportunities. I was a huge believer in Marlon Mack. I drafted him in, I don't know, at least 2 leagues, maybe 3 or 4 leagues. I drafted him in at least 2 out of 4 of my leagues. I think I dropped him in a lot of leagues because he was hurt and I needed the bench room. Like, I needed to pick up a player, and that sucked. Like, if he didn't get hurt, I wouldn't have dropped him. So I'm feeling bad, but I'm going back on the waivers, trying to get Marlon Mack. Talk about an excellent upside long-term pickup. Marlon Mack, he needs to be owned in just about every league as well. A running back that I've kind of slept on is Andre Ellington. Needs to be owned in every single PPR league. And Aaron Jones, he is more of a short-term pickup. You guys can go ahead and drop Jamal Williams. I'll take that advice too, and I'll drop Jamal Williams from my team as well. Aaron Jones, we saw he, how many, Jamal Williams, I think he got 2 snaps and touched the ball once. So I think we know who's the number 2 running back on the depth chart. May even be the number 1 running back on the depth chart. We have to wait and see. But Ty Montgomery, he might miss another week or 2, maybe even longer. So Aaron Jones, right now, as a short-term pickup, he's a must-add, a must-stream. And once Ty Montgomery comes back, we'll see. Could be a 50-50 split. Derrick Henry will be a player that's going to be dropped this week. So wait for him and pick him up off free agency. He's an excellent stash. We're kind of seeing the demise of DeMarco Murray, which is kind of a best-case scenario for Derrick Henry owners. The problem is that the Titans' offense kind of sucks, and their rush attack hasn't been that good. I've always been talking about how scarce running backs are, how much I value running backs, and with DeMarco Murray on a downward trend, I'm telling you, Henry is worth a stash. Dante Foreman could have a huge game against the Browns. Browns are not a good team. Browns are not a good defense. The Texans should have a favorable lead. And Foreman, he should get 10+ carries and have plenty of opportunity this game. Not that I don't like Lamar Miller this game. I like both of them. Well, there are a lot of good running backs on this list. I understand a lot of these guys won't be available in your league, but there's going to be a few that are. And Buck Allen is a guy that proved himself last week against the Raiders. A must-add in PPR and a great add even if you're in a standard league. I got Wayne Gallman on this list. Check the injuries to Paul Perkins, who's just been trash anyways. Like, he's not a big factor. And also check the injury to Darkwa. Matt Breida, you've made it on this list once again, and you finally scored more points than Carlos Hyde. The reason he's so low on this list, even though you guys know I like Matt Breida, is because I don't know about either running back on the Niners. Like, Niners just isn't a good team. They're my favorite team, but they're just not that good this year. And Hoyer seems to need to throw the ball more in the 4th quarter and 3rd quarter. But at least as a handcuff, at least as just an emergency stash, something like that, I think Breida is worth an add on your team if you have enough room on your bench. And check the status of Rob Kelly. I think Theo Riddick could be a sneaky start in PPR league. Should be a high-scoring game against the Saints this week. We have Alex Collins, decent pickup in standard leagues and in super duper deep leagues. And if you're super duper desperate for a running back, we have Chris Ivory and the rookie Austin Eckler. But check up on the status of Brandon Oliver. He was out and he was injured last week. Surprisingly, Sterling Shepard was only owned, when I looked it up just before recording this video, in 63% of leagues. That's pretty low. It should be more like 75, 80%. And now it should be closer to 90%. We know that Odell Beckham is done for the year. We know that Brandon Marshall is done for the year. Dwayne Harris is done for the year. And actually, Sterling Shepard has a minor injury, so check up on the status of that. But he's a must pick up in every league now. Jermaine Kearse, talk about him every week. Pick him up. And Willie Snead has a hamstring injury. He could return this week. They had a bye last week, and he was inactive the previous week before that. But hopefully that hamstring has healed up for him. He'll probably get his debut, but check up on his status. He may not play. I think he'll probably play. Let's see his practice participation throughout the week. And really, all these guys I can rank. I don't even know how to rank these guys. Like, throw a dart at which Cardinals receiver is going to do good each week. I don't know anymore. Really, Larry Fitzgerald is the #1 guy, but other than that, who knows? Andre Ellington's the best receiver, really. With Sanu Hurd, I got Taylor Gabriel on this list. Mike Wallace is kind of a boomer bust player. Kendall Wright's the best, most trustworthy wide receiver on that Bears team, and that's why he's on this list. Ricardo Lewis is probably the best wide receiver on the Browns. Marquise Goodwin might have a good matchup. I think 1 or 2 receivers on the Niners is going to ball out this week, whether it be Garcon and Kittle or Garcon and Goodwin, maybe even Trent Taylor. Goodwin does have the best matchup, I think, as far as the corner that's going to be defending him. But at the same time, Washington's going to know to probably make sure he doesn't get any deep plays off. Easier said than done. They should be able to stop Trent Taylor, who's playing slot, and Garcon obviously is going to get a lot of attention in a revenge game. That's 2 revenge games for Garcon. He just played the Colts, and now he's playing Washington. Wow, what a schedule. Roger Lewis could be wide receiver 2 on the Giants. Juju Smith-Schuster surprisingly getting a lot of touches, a lot of targets. And with Chris Conley on the Chiefs done for the year, Albert Wilson makes this list. Devontae Parker has a minor injury. That's why Kenny Stills made this list. And we also have in super duper deep leagues, Benny Fowler, Marcus Whedon, and Michael Floyd if Diggs is hurt. The #1 tight end to pick up, and you've been sleeping if you haven't picked this guy up, is Austin Seferian-Jenkins. Wow, this guy needs to be owned in a lot of leagues. Like, I'd say just about every league, except if you're like in a super shallow league, like a 6-team or 4-team league. He really needs to be owned in a lot of leagues. I think he'll finish as a tight end 1 this year, especially if you don't count the games that he missed in the beginning of the season. And tight ends are a huge mess. You see Austin Hooper is not really a guy you can trust, but I really do like him this week. I think he has a decent matchup, and you know, Sanu is Sanu out? I actually have to double check, but I'd say he's probably out. I think his diagnosis was 2 to 4 weeks, so I think he's going to be out this week. I didn't even check, so I got to check that, but check his status. If Sanu is out, this boosts the value of Austin Hooper a little bit. David Njoku has been brought back to life with the benching of Kaiser. So check up on the status of who's the starting quarterback for the Browns. Ryan Griffin has been proving me wrong. He's been a disappointment. I was high on you, Griffin, and you haven't been doing well. But this matchup is the sweetest of them all. Yeah, the Texans won't be throwing too much in the 4th quarter. At least that's what we expect the game script to be. But to get that score up high, why not go to Ryan Griffin sometimes? The Browns are not good. Like, they are horrendous. Absolutely horrible against the tight end position. George Kittle has a decent matchup. I'm not too high on Coby Fleener with Willie Snead returning. Drew Brees is going to spread the ball quite a bit. So Fleener is like, he's a guy you really can't project. You really can't predict what he's going to do week to week. And I don't know. I really don't feel like talking about these guys one by one. We got... I mean, this is what a mess at tight end. It's so tough. If you didn't draft Zach Ertz, you're screwed this year. It's like, you draft Zach Ertz, you're in great shape. You didn't draft Zach Ertz, you're not in good shape. That's basically what happened this year. It's been such a mess. Anyway, we got Ben Watson, Ed Dixon, Zach Miller. Jack Doyle has been concussion protocol, and he's questionable this week. He's playing Monday Night Football, so we probably won't know anything. It just adds to the tight end mess. I also have AJ Derby, Darren Fales, Eric Ebron, who can't catch a football, Julius Thomas, Nick. We're getting into like 20-team territory here. Super deep league territory. Nick O'Leary. With Charles Clay to miss about a month, Nick O'Leary is the starting tight end for the Bills. They are on bye this week, so he won't score too many points for your fantasy team this week. I also have Nick Boyle and Vernon Davis because he's the backup to Jordan Reed, who is usually pretty injured. Not a big difference in these defenses. So I got the Chargers last. They really don't deserve to be on this list this week if Carr starts. But if Carr doesn't, wow, is this going to be an excellent defense to get? I guess it's okay to rank them number 5. But number 1, I got to go with Washington going against the Niners. Niners are slated not to score a lot of points. And Washington defense has been playing pretty well. If Josh Norman was playing, they would get even a bigger, way bigger boost. The Bucks are going against the Cardinals. We saw the Cardinals are just not a good team. They traded for AP. Maybe that boosts the team, the energy a little bit, but they have just not been a good team this year. And if you're considering getting the Bucks defense, make sure you check up on the status of all those injured players. They have a ton of injured players on defense, so check up on their health. That's going to give them an even bigger boost against the Cardinals. We have the Rams going against the Jaguars in what could be a low-scoring game. The Bears going against the Ravens, who you don't really trust at all. And as I mentioned before, the Chargers going against the Raiders. For kickers, some people dropped Matt Bryant because he was on bye. Most that drafted Matt Bryant drafted him early and did not drop him. But in case he was dropped, he is pretty much the best kicker this year. Has a good matchup. Go get Matt Bryant if he's available. I'd probably go as far as wasting a waiver priority on Matt Bryant. I'd be set with that kicker every game for the rest of the year. He has no more bye weeks, so that's good. Kaimi Fairbairn has an excellent matchup against the Browns. Will Lutz should have a lot of scoring opportunities against the Lions. Washington should have a pretty big lead, and that's what makes Dustin Hopkins a good kicker to pick up. Brandon McManus was kind of a sleeper kicker that I ranked lower, and I had to rank him higher because the more I thought about this game, the more it occurred to me that the Broncos will have a huge lead. They'll settle for field goals. They'll have good field position. Their defense should do some things. They should run the ball a lot. I really like Brandon McManus this week, but not as much as other kickers though. That's why I don't have him ranked in my top 3. Also, we have Harrison Butker, Adam Vinatieri, Mason Crosby giving you another shot, but I'm not ranking you that high this week though. Ryan Suckup, Jake Elliott, and Kai Forbath. And if you didn't know already, we have a weekly fantasy football podcast. If you want to be on this week's podcast, make sure you follow the link below and join the Facebook group. I'm also having an exclusive giveaway on that Facebook group. All the information will be on there. Just follow the link below in the description. If you guys haven't already subscribed, make sure you click that couch icon to the side of me. Also, like the video. If you leave a comment below, make sure you use hashtag AskTheBrain. That way I know you're a true fan. I'll see you guys on the next video. Hey, look at the camera so you can see. Look, right there, you're the mascot. Yeah, see? Yeah.